What's going on, guys? Jurassic here. Today we are playing StarCitizen. So this tutorial is going to be showing you how to find the hidden caves or other points of interest around the world. We're also going to be showing you where to get a SCU box, that way you're actually able to grab the subscriber gear you find inside of these caves and bring it along with you to a station to secure more properly. You can find cool helmets like the one I am wearing now. Alright, so over at most spaceports they have a cargo area. As you guys can see, this is the fleet manager. Each station is going to be different. This is specifically at Seraphim where we're at now. So from the fleet managers at Seraphim, all you have to do is take a left. That's going to take you directly over to the elevators. Then you want to head over to the cargo area. As long as you're at a substation that has these cargo slots available, this is the easiest place to find your cargo boxes. So just head over to the cargo center. Now for a new player, keep in mind that you want to at least always have a multi-tool with a tractor beam, or you can buy a max lift. However, the max lift is going to be a little bit more expensive. You can buy everything that you need to at these terminals over here though. So just click on the cargo shop and type in SCU. This is going to be a storage crate, so an 1/8 is going to be very small. If you have a smaller ship, that'll be a little bit easier to store. However, if you have a larger ship, the 1 or 2 SCU crates works just fine. We're in the Corsair for today, so we're going to go and buy a 2 SCU crate. The 1/8 is like super small, so if you ever see any Jump Town videos, that's about that size, and a 1 SCU crate is going to be about half the size of what we're using. So we'll bring both of these out that you guys can see the difference. I'm not worrying about the 1/8 though. Then also, for finding a multi-tool, you just type in track, and it's going to pull up this attachment. So you need to buy 1 attachment here, so that'd be 320. The multi-tool, just type in multi, that's going to be 480. So you're at about 700 with that. And depending on which storage crate you go with is going to be between 2K and 4K. So looking at about 9K total of expenses to get all this up and running. Now another really useful thing is you come over here to the counter, you'll see that these are Cruise Lux. I recommend at least having 2 of these. These are going to give you food and water, which is going to be essential at survival if you don't have a Cutlass Red or a Medical Pisces to fill up your food. However, you can also buy the Nursa in the game, which is also going to fill up food as long as you're laying down on the bed. That vehicle is going to be 150K. All right, so from exiting the elevators, you take a right, and then you should be able to see your fleet managers again. As long as you haven't actually put your ship away, it should still be here on the ground. And you want to come over here to the storage access inside of your hangar. This is where you're going to be able to pull out your multi-tool if you don't currently have one. It should be under the utilities. We already had it, so I didn't need to buy a new one. So we are good to go. Also, this is where you can grab the water. So once you have your multi-tool set up, you want to head over to where we have our hangar access, which is going to be our freight elevators. You'll see that we have our bottle of Lux here, and we also have our storage crate. So we are going to lower our elevator down. Say transfer complete. And then now you can just move everything over. So click on every single item that you want to move to it, click move, and then raise the elevator. I don't think I've ever actually stacked on top of a box. It looks pretty cool up there. By the way, one thing I forgot to mention, if it's a situation where you're not actually able to see like the blue highlights whenever you're moving an item from your inventory to your storage crate, you want to move your cursor over to this little blacked out box and then bring it back to the area, and then it should be able to grab it. So as you guys can see, we got 2 water bottles. This is going to be the 2 SCU crate, which is going to be the longer one, and the 1 SCU is going to be the smaller one right here. So if you use right click on your multi-tool, this is going to be a linking tractor beam, which means you don't have to hold it the entire time. It's actually going to go snap onto your cargo grid. Left click doesn't actually snap to your cargo grid, and you have to hold it down the whole time. So that's basically the difference between these 2 modes. You use your scroll wheel to set the distance. Hold R to rotate the box however you see fit. Now technically you don't need a very large ship like this to do what we're doing today. However, I wanted to be able to bring our nurse in, that way if we die, we're able to spawn back. There's going to be 0 hostiles in the majority of the caves that we're going to be showing you in today's example. However, just in case you do end up getting a cave with aliens, it's good to have a spawn point. Alright, so now that we are all loaded up, you don't technically need a big ship like a Corsair to do this. However, it's nice to have a medical bed in case of emergencies, like let's say you glitch into the wall, fall through the map, or end up going to a cave over where there's like alien dogs. You want to be able to have a spawn point back of your ship, that way you're not going to have like 30 ships over inside this area here. That's why the Cutlass Red is good if you're wanting to bedlog to get the maximum amount of loot. It has medical beds and it also has a way to log out. The Medical Pisces does not actually have the bed to safe log, so that's why that one's not on the list. However, if you have a Nursa, which once again is 150k, you're able to use basically any large ship and bring it along with you. So for today's video, we're going to be focusing on Aberdeen. This is where we actually found our Vandal mask, and it seems like it has a very high drop rate when it comes to finding subscriber gear. All right, so now that we are over on Aberdeen, we're going to head over to verseguide.com. I will have a link down in the description down below to get to this place. Basically, all you have to do from here is click on search. Now this is where you can type in wherever you want. For example, you can go to the Microtap River or you can go to any cave around the map. All right, now for example, all we have to do in our keyword search is type in cave. It's going to pull up a list of every single cave inside the game. Now, where we found the Vandal mask, for example, is going to be in a classification of a rock cave, and I will take us to the exact one just to show you guys how to actually use this website. So we're going to scroll down to where it gets to Aberdeen. However, all these different cave sites, some of them have creatures, some of them don't. Each of them are going to be noted differently on the website. Rock caves seem to be the one with the highest amount of loot. Now, the one where we specifically found the Vandal mask is going to be Rock Cave 36N. Once again, it's going to be Aberdeen in the stand system. So it's going to pull up a picture of it, and it's going to show you the exact crater hole. And if you scroll down some, you're going to see a direction spot, a weather spot, and a detail spot. Direction is where we mostly care about. All right, so now that we have all that set up, we are going to head over to the Directions tab. Scroll down some. You want to be underneath the closest beacon, which you have to use the closest beacon. Orbital markers don't work anymore since you can't go through planets to see like the different satellites around them. So you need to be staying inside of the closest beacon. However, you can technically swap between the two. All right, now it's going to say for 7.14 minutes you need to travel at 250 meters per second. We can also do this at 1,000 and do this in 2 minutes. I'm not sure why they have this such a long time. The main thing is going to be you need to be 107.45 kilometers away at a heading of 165 by the time we're done. So we need to have our compass set at 347.1. So to do that, we head back to the game, and that's going to be this number right underneath the 2 close. So see, right now we're at almost 200. Now, if you guys are new to using the distances, basically the dot in the middle is going to actually be a 4 instead of a... So we need to have it set to 347.1, so it's going to be roughly around inside of this area here. And you have a couple different options here. You can decide to leave the atmosphere, or you can stay at this altitude and just go full speed. We're just going to crank it up. You can also do this from space and be a little bit faster, however. So there's a couple different ways of doing it. You can set a heading of going forward and you'll get there eventually, but the problem is you can't necessarily see how far you are. What you could do though is you could turn decoupled mode off, which basically is going to allow your ship to go its maximum speed in the reverse direction. So right now I'm holding Shift and S, facing at Dobbs, and you'll notice our nose is going to be roughly at like 170 right now, so we are going to need a slight adjustment since our end goal is 165. If you're in full reverse with coupled mode set up like this, it's going to actually maintain your speed at 999. So basically you don't have to worry too much. Now once it gets to 99 kilometers, that's when we want to start going in the forward direction, holding X at the same time, because that's going to allow us to basically fight against the speed and also turn coupled mode back on. And you're going to notice that it's going to take us quite a while to like fully slow down. All right, so that was about perfect. Looks like we did go slightly up. So an easy way to tell the ground is if you click tab. I'd also recommend scroll wheeling in, that way to get a much slower speed. Unfortunately, it seems like the altimeter is actually broken inside the Corsair at the moment, so we're just going to have to go nice and slow down to the ground, that way we don't accidentally crash. We'll level ourselves out, then we'll aim back at our sight, and then we'll set our heading in the correct direction here. Alright, so now that we are at 170.4 kilometers away from Dobbs, we're going to need to get our heading set. Right now, we're at roughly like 170 or so. Now, you'll notice if you look to the left, that's going to move our scroll wheel at the top that direction, which you think might be the way to go. But the only way to do that is actually to have the back end facing the right side. So in our case, since we're a little bit over the number, we need to be holding the D key or strafing right, whichever way you have it set up. You're going to have to reposition your nose of your ship quite frequently back on Dobbs, but every now and then just make sure that you're realigned with yourself. You're going to notice the top part scrolling through. All right, so once you get in a rough estimate of where you should be, I recommend going into third person, so if you don't have any buttons changed, it's going to be F4. And you're going to notice off to our left is actually going to be the cave entrance, so we're just going to go and slide down over here. Now the cool thing about this is you can actually set your spawn point to your ship, by doing the bed logging, and you can actually server hop, so you just keep having like higher odds of finding the rare loot. This is where we ended up finding our Vandal mask, and if we check the other website, which I'll also have a video on specifically just to showcase it off a little bit more and just show like the cool features of it, we could actually see how higher of a drop rate everything is on Aberdeen. So I do recommend, if you're trying to like search for rare subscriber gear, to come here. Now, one thing to keep in mind, if another ship is here, technically you could load inside of it and blow up, so you don't necessarily want to be blocking the hole, but you can actually get pretty close. We're going to go and drop down, loot some, see if we get some items that we can actually find around here. Now, this has a higher drop rate of dropping subscriber flare items. Also has a decent drop rate of dropping in medical stuff. If you don't see a crate in the beginning here, basically that means you just need a server hop because you're not going to find much inside of the cave. But you should always see at least one box there. For example, we got the Voyager or the Pab Core chest piece, which I didn't even bring a chest, so may as well grab you. Alright, so our first run through the cave didn't necessarily give us any high yield when it comes to cool subscriber gear, but just to show you guys how it actually works, we're going to bedlog real quick and load into the next instance and see if we get a better luck on a different region. So to bedlog, all you have to do is hold F on the bed and you need to lie down. If you said it's not actually going to work, then once you come to this stage, hold F again, look over to your right, you should see get up, right click on that and click on log out. Alright, so we went from best, let's try a European server and click enter StarCitizen. Alright, so now that we are loaded inside the next server, let's go and head towards the back of the ship. And we can try to loot this one, see if we have better odds. Now, the reason why we come here, I can pull up the website here in a second to show you guys like a brief overview of it, but once again, we'll have a separate video on it here in a few days. Basically, the rich caves on Aberdeen have a 0.08% chance of spawning in the super rare items, which that may seem like a super small percentage, which technically it is, but the reason why that's actually really valuable is the fact that it's the highest in the game anywhere else. And it has no hostiles, which is really good. Alright, so unfortunately there was no luck in the first two servers we went to, but that's okay. So if we head back over inside the website here and head over to the armory, we're going to just get rid of this list, and it's going to come default with the show advanced on. I recommend just turning this off, that we don't have to worry about it. So this is where you can select like a armor set for you. So let's do helmet, and we know for a fact that kitty helmets are pretty rare. So for example, the Star Kit helmet, if we click on this, let's say we really wanted this helmet gear. Scroll down to the bottom here, you're going to notice all the different drop rate chances here, and you're also going to see that the cave on Aberdeen has a higher drop rate than everywhere else around the world. Junk signs have a 0.07% chance, but if you're really wanting this one rare subscriber gear item, the best odds are going to be found in the cave of Aberdeen in the rich area, and crate 07, the no logo dirty. Which is why it's actually a really helpful tool to figure out what you actually want to do around the world. Now, this website actually does more than just finding caves, for example. So like if you want to head to like the rivers on Microtech, all you have to do is type in river. You can see like the Hurston rivers, you can find the Microtech river. So if you just click on it, and we're going to find it the exact same way, but this is going to be like a general overview of the river. And if you scroll down to the directions, just like we did with the cave, you're going to do the closest bearing. You don't want to do line of sight because that option's broken. So you have to stick with the closest bearing. This one, it uses the orbital markers, which don't always work, since sometimes it'll be on the other side of the planet, and they got rid of that option. So the constant bearing is the most likely to work for you. And doing that, it should take you directly to the river on Microtech. It also shows you the rises for when it comes to the sun. I recommend just paying attention to the website and picking and choosing what time to actually head over there. Obviously, a lot of this stuff is much easier to find in the daytime. The river's not too bad, though, to find at nighttime. If this guide helped you guys out, make sure you guys leave a like and subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next one.